Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit.
Okay, all you citizens of the world, it's time for the final segment of this week's Live from the Heartland. It's for the week of October 31st. And once again, it's the monthly sports report with cousin Adam James. He's out in Los Angeles. He lived in Chicago while he was playing football at Northwestern, and he's a martial artist, a screenwriter, a filmmaker, and it's always good to talk to you, cuz. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always great to be on Live from the Heartland. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, it's good to have you. How about giving us a World Series report, because there's some really remarkable stuff going on.
Yes, well, I thought perhaps we might not cover the World Series because it might be over by the time this airs, but the Toronto Blue Jays really stepped up and came forward last night. There was an amazing 18-inning game on Monday night. It was phenomenal, marathon game. The Dodgers won that with a walk-off home run. It's the second time an 18-inning World Series game has happened. Interestingly enough, both times at Dodger Stadium, both times with the home team doing a walk-off home run. And that game was no different. A phenomenal performance by so many players. Shohei Ohtani, the great player for the Dodgers, got on base 9 times, which is an all-time record in the World Series. He also had 4 extra base hits, which is also an all-time record. Once they had those 4 extra base hits, the Blue Jays wouldn't pitch to him anymore. They walked him 5 times after that. Amazing. But then last night, the Blue Jays rose to the occasion. They came out and they won that game. So we know there's going to be a game on Friday night, possibly a game on Saturday, Game 7. We'll see. But yes, this World Series has been phenomenal. The Toronto team representing all of Canada has done a great job. They're a spunky, hardworking team with a couple of superstars and a whole lot of grit. And then the Dodgers, of course, have this phenomenal team with so many great players, 3 MVPs, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and of course, this player, Shohei Ohtani, who many people are saying is the greatest player ever. Mike, did you see the game?
They have a great pitcher, too.
Yes.
Another Japanese fellow.
Correct. Yamamoto just had a second complete game, which is almost unheard of in today's baseball. And he did it, of course, twice in postseason, which is sensational. And Mike, did you see the game where Shohei Ohtani had 6 innings of no-hit pitching and hit those 3 home runs in the same game?
I saw part of that game, and then I fell asleep for the end of it.
Well, that was amazing. And of course, otherworldly, really, with his performance, which just kind of reminds us this Japanese pipeline of talent has been sensational. Last night, it was Hideo Nomo who threw out the first pitch. And although he was not the first Japanese player in Major League Baseball, he's the one that kind of changed the game in that it had been kind of locked out for a while there. The Japanese players were committed to playing in Japan. And then Hideo Nomo changed all that with a little loophole that he and his agent came up with to get over here to the United States. Well, again, it's just amazing to see that. By the way, the Cubs also have a couple of amazing Japanese players. So this is continuing to grow. The Latin American players continue to be an amazing source of great players. So the game of baseball is doing great. It should be a fun weekend for those of you who love the game of baseball. Be sure to watch.
Is homegrown black players still, in the decline, or have there been more black players coming back? It used to be, first it was white guys, all white guys. Then we had blacks, then we had Latinos. The blacks diminished, but I'm starting to notice maybe a comeback of the African-American baseball player.
Yes, well, you make a very good point. And of course, you and I actually discussed this once on a Live from the Heartland show, and that there has been a decline in African-American players in the game of baseball. And it has to do with economics. Baseball is a tough game for young people to come together and play because you have to have all 9 players for both teams. You have to have the equipment. It's a little different. Whereas soccer and basketball, you just need the ball and a couple of guys. You can kind of make it work even with 1-on-1, 2-on-2. Baseball is a really special sport, but it is on the rise. It's been doing very well, and it continues to get a lot of positive attention. So, of course, Chicago has got a lot of sports going on. We've also got the Bulls and the Bears, both, and the Hawks, all doing really well right now. The Bulls are off to an amazing start, undefeated so far. Of course, it's early in the season, but they have a great young team with a lot of really talented players. So hopefully they'll have a great season. Bears, of course, had a couple of losses after some hot moments there, and hopefully they're going to have a strong season with this new coach, Ben Johnson.
Let me ask you a little bit about NBA gambling. You
Yes,
want to talk about that for a minute?
absolutely.
Seems to hit us all, bam, real quick and heavy.
Well, for those who hadn't noticed, gambling has gone from something that was considered taboo in the sports world. There was a time when no leagues would go to Las Vegas. They didn't want their players to go in Las Vegas. Now we have multiple teams playing in Las Vegas. And of course, that's nothing compared to the rise of online gambling, all the apps and websites and ways that people can gamble anywhere, anytime with just the touch of a button. All of these major organizations that are now huge players in the sporting world. It was interesting. I was watching a commentary about this, and they had a very famous ESPN guy, former Northwestern alumni, Mike Greenberg, and he was talking about what's going on with this gambling thing, and he was lamenting it. He was talking about how terrible it is and how we really need to. And meanwhile, if you look down at the bottom, the ticker thing was an ad for one of those online betting things. And it's just like, that's how much it's seeped into our lives. So
It's everywhere. It's all over the TV. All the ads are about gambling.
Exactly. And this is not new. I remember when I was a kid growing up, there was a famous football player from Ohio State, Art Schlichter, who was a phenomenal quarterback. And he looked like he was going to go to the NFL and be a superstar. He was drafted by the Colts. Well, it turns out he was a chronic gambler. He had a terrible gambling problem, and it basically sidelined him as a player. So this is not new, but it is at a heightened level now because of the accessibility. So these NBA players, apparently several of them got sucked into this. Some of them were playing some poker games that were illegal, but also there was a thing about reporting injuries and how that can affect gambling online. It's kind of like insider trading is what one of the FBI, investigators had used that phrase. So it is a serious concern. The NBA really needs to clean that up and get that organized. And hopefully it's not something that's going to hurt the game in the long term. But it's true for all sports, actually. Football is heavily tied in with that as well.
Let's talk. You got about 1 minute. Talk about college football, mainly Northwestern Illinois.
Awesome. Well, this weekend is going to be a lot of fun games. So for those of you who love college football, we've got Army versus Air Force going on this weekend. You also have undefeated Navy playing a 7-1 North Texas team. A lot of great fun games there. Also, for those on the West Coast, the last two remaining teams of the Pac-12, Washington State and Oregon State. Of course, there's a new Pac-12 starting next year. But this weekend, those two teams are playing. And then, yes, my Northwestern Wildcats have been doing phenomenal. They're 5-3. They've had a couple of big wins. They lost last weekend in a really tight, close game with Nebraska. They're off this weekend, but they've got 4 remaining games this season that should be amazing. They're coming out here to Los Angeles to play at the Coliseum against USC. That's going to be a great game, and there's a lot of activity here for Northwestern alumni, specifically for those in the entertainment industry. There's a big event called Wildcats in Hollywood. I'll be attending that. It should be a lot of fun. Northwestern then plays at Wrigley Field for 2 straight games, first with Michigan and then against Minnesota. So for those of you in Chicago that love to watch a fun, exciting, different environment, check out the Wildcats at Wrigley. And then to close out the season, we play our rival, University of Illinois, for the Lincoln Trophy. That's the hat. And everybody wants the hat.
Adam James, thanks a lot. It's always good to talk to you. Everybody who's been listening.